Hey, hey.
everyone. Welcome to the Get Rich Book Club. When you start to attain higher levels of success, you often create personal dramas in your life that cloud your world with unhappiness and prevent you from enjoying your enhanced success. In other words, the more success you have, the more personal dramas you create. Hi, welcome everyone. Hi, Anna. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody. So the specific intention of the Get Rich Book Club is we're here to align your energy and ours with what you're creating for your own income, wealth, and abundance, and love.
Yes, we'll add love to that specific
Yes.
intention.
we keep saying that we're going to add it, so just consider it added. It's
yes. Added. Okay, I'll make that mental note right now.
So welcome to the Get Rich Book Club. Right now we're on our second book, which is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. So yeah, welcome. Hi, we're happy to have you.
I know, it's so exciting. Now we can see people's views and comments. Hi guys. Thank you so much for joining us. You're with the Get Rich Book Club, and I want you guys to know, if you haven't read this book or if you have read this book is all about you and your own version of the upper limit problem. So the upper limit problem is what's holding you back from achieving your true potential. This is one of the last obstacles to ultimate success in wealth, work, and love. There's the love part, James. Hello, I'm Erlinda, the energy alchemist, and I'm all about changing bad vibes into good ones. It's all about vibing up your energy to the level of love or peace, which helps then transform the planet and helps you to achieve greater results in your life. And I'm here tonight with...
Hi, everybody. My name is James Bastian Van Hofwegen. I am a realtor here in Chicago, and I help people fulfill their dreams through real estate.
Woohoo! Fulfilling dreams through real estate, transforming bad vibes into good ones. I think we make a great team, James. What do you think?
I think you're right. I hope everybody else out there thinks so too. We try to bring it for you guys. So
yeah, a lot of stuff goes into these things. I don't know if people realize it. We actually have to read the book.
Like multiple times.
I know, and go through each chapter. So anyways, you guys, welcome to chapter 2. This chapter was a kind of a, first of all, let's just talk about last week, James. Oh my God. So you guys, last week's chapter, if you haven't seen it or you haven't read it, it was like a lot of stuff. I think that was the most content we ever delivered in one session. It was very, very intense, and it was... honestly, you guys, I wanted to quit after that one. I was like, this is so much stuff going on. I wanted to quit. And of course, I was hitting my upper limit problem and really where I was starting to feel like, wow, we really made a difference. And, I started questioning myself, like, are we really making a difference? No one really cares. Why are we doing, just the whole barrage of thoughts, right? So just like in chapter 2, when we're talking about making the leap, in short, you have a tendency to follow big leaps forward in your success with big mess ups. So last week we gave so much content just right after each other. We were like, boom, boom, boom. I mean, almost to the minute we were delivering on content, right? So we had this very successful time. And then right after that, I was like, oh, we're not making a difference. Oh, it's following up that big success with some downside and some mess up. And do you guys remember when James, I think 2 weeks ago, was showing us the rubber band analogy? Yeah. Was that last week?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Rubber bands right here. Yeah, they're just in pieces.
Yeah. So you guys, when you're making the big leap, you will, like the rubber band analogy that James tried to show us, is where you will rubber band yourself back to where you were before. Sometimes you'll even rubber band yourself back to somewhere worse. So if you are if you are somewhere and you start to get some success, like let's say you organize your house and you're like, yes, then all of a sudden something comes up besides James dancing, all of a sudden something comes up and then the house is disorganized again, right? Like you will then go into a meltdown of thinking of like, oh my God, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should, like, you just go crazy. Like I was after last week. I was definitely like thinking we were very successful in what we were doing, but very, very concerned about like after it, like I wanted to quit. Honestly, I was like, I don't know, are we making a difference? And James, by the way, can you just speak up into your mic a little bit? They're having trouble hearing you. Okay.
Yeah. Is this any better?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I think so. I don't know. You sound fine to me. So thank you guys for letting us know. So yeah, so you'll rubber band yourself back to where it feels good. Sometimes you'll rubber band yourself back to where it's even worse than where you started, right? So you have some success and then you backtrack to where you feel comfortable, or you swing yourself way, way back before that. Does that make sense? So are you stubborn and clinging to your views? Any stubborn people out there? Me too. How long will it take you to unwind the set of limiting beliefs you have around love, money, and health? So think about it. Think about how many limiting beliefs you have around love, money, and health. Yeah, right? It's like a lot going on. Yep, me. Yeah, Sada, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thank you for being here.
Real quick, thank you for your participation throughout the broadcast. It makes a big difference for us to see you guys participate and to see your comments and you know, your interactions and stuff like that. That all makes a difference for us. So we hope that it makes a difference for you. We really encourage you to you know, leave feedback as we go and make comments as we go. Just make the experience a bit richer for everyone.
Yeah, so thank you for your sharing. So really the question on the table is, how stubborn are you? Like, how long is it going to take you to unwind those set of limiting beliefs around love, money, and health? Really? So here's my question to you. Like, seriously, you guys, just take a look for yourself, okay? Are you willing to make a commitment to take the big leap? Are you willing to look at those beliefs, those views that you have about in the areas of love, money, and health? So there was one thing that Gay Hendricks talks about, which I thought was amazing. When he talks about breakthroughs being important, right? So how many people are out there like, oh my God, I had a breakthrough, right? And you talk about breakthroughs being important and breakthroughs being exciting. But here's what's awesome that he says that I've never heard before, James. I don't know if you have either. It's not just the importance of the breakthrough and the excitement, but it's the subsequent stabilization and integration of the breakthrough into daily life. I have to say that again. So it's the subsequent stabilization and integration of the breakthrough into daily life that really allows the changes to be permanent. So do you want to say something on that? Because I read that and it was like the first time that I heard that. And it really was like kind of eye-opening for me.
Yeah. So, excuse me. When I reread the chapter again last night, and when I got to that point, it definitely stood out for me. And I had to go back and like reread it a couple times.
Me too.
It's one of those things that like you could easily pass over it, but it's something so critical and profound that if you grab onto it, that's like one of those keys to the kingdom that, you know, like that's where it is. That's where the magic is. It's the stabilization and integration of the breakthrough into your daily life. Yes. Right. So like in I think it was last week or chapter 1, or yeah, we did chapter 1 last week.
Yes.
Time is flying. But it's the willingness to stretch, right? And then as you stretch, it's the stabilization of that stretching. Yeah. Or, you know, maintaining your level of happiness over time.
Yeah. This is so important, you guys, because think about it. If we're dealing with the upper limit problem, it means we will reach an upper limit. Now, knowing that and having the breakthrough, like, oh, I reached my upper limit. Oh, yay, I noticed my upper limit. I mean, it's exciting, and it's very important to really want to acknowledge that, right? Hi, Alexa, welcome. So when you get that you've reached a level of success and you have the breakthrough, or you notice you hit your upper limit problem, that's great and it's exciting, but it's really what you do after that matters. It's what you do after and having it integrate and stabilize in your daily life. That's where the changes are going to be made, and that's where it's going to be permanent. Okay, not to discount the breakthroughs. Still having trouble hearing you, James. I'm not sure. Well, he is not talking at the moment, so maybe maybe when you hold it up again like you did. Okay, so sorry. Let me backtrack for a second. So sorry, I got so excited, you guys. Literally, I got on the call with James and we were clearing, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know, I'm just kind of average. And then all of a sudden I got kicked into gear. I was like so excitement, because if this is one of the keys to the kingdom, because having a breakthrough is great, but unless you integrate it into your daily life, it will not become permanent. So identifying your upper limit problem and pushing past it and feeling more and more greatness won't become a permanent phenomenon unless you keep bringing it into your daily life, pulling it towards you.
Yeah, so I'm just going to try to speak as loud as I can, and hopefully that kind of compensates for the sound trouble that we're having. I know that we had a little bit of sound problems last week too, so I apologize. I'll try to maintain it. If you can't hear me, just make a comment and I'll be sure to speak up. So thank you for that, Lexa. I really appreciate it. So to piggyback on what Erlinda is saying, there are perceived inadequacies that you have in certain areas of your life, which then when those inadequacies are acted out in your daily life, it muddles things, right? And these muddled intentions they're what causes opposite effects in your life. So let's stop and get clear, and let's make a new deal between ourselves and the universe right now. Okay. So
how many people out there just drop a yes, I'm willing, that you're willing to make a new deal between you and the universe right now? How many people are willing to make a new deal with the universe, like right now? Yeah. Yes. Okay, drop a little note right there.
Yeah. So are you willing to make a new deal right now? And are you willing to be wealthy in both money and love?
Oh, that's so juicy.
It really is. It's like, I mean, it's so juicy. We've got people responding in French.
Yeah, it's so juicy, James, because
that's the ticket right there. And I want to focus on this for just a second. I know that we're running just a couple minutes behind our
we have plenty of time, James.
Oh, okay, good. So I go back to a key point that I discovered personally, and this was about December of last year, where I was focusing entirely on money, right? Like I totally had stopped dating and even like looking for romance at all. I just stopped it. I was like, forget it. I'm just money. And the money wasn't flowing. And I'm like, well, what's going on here? The money isn't flowing. I'm focused on the money. I'm like saying my mantras. I'm like, yo, money, here I am. Come to me. I'm like right here, money. And I'm like, I've got the bills, like floating around the house and stuff like that. And the money's just not flowing. And what I discovered was, okay, well, I'm closing off, or I'm shutting myself off to any kind of romantic energy. So if I'm shutting myself off to romantic energy, where else am I shutting off the energy, right? If you think of it like a hose or a water faucet, right? And maybe if you envision a water faucet that has just a single handle, right? And you have it one way, all the way to cold or all the way to hot, right? You're only going to get one of those or the other. And depending on how, kind of rusty your faucet is, you might not get anything. So there's another key component here. Are you willing to be wealthy in both money and love? Because it's all coming down to that flow of energy, right? And I can't emphasize this enough. It's just like, it's all energy, you guys.
Totally.
So anyway,
No, I think it's really important because so many times we do that. We start focusing on love, or we start focusing on finances, right? And really, can you have it be an and instead of either or, right? It's like, can you be wealthy in money and love instead of money or love, right?
Or we get so caught up in our career and at work,
yeah.
and and we ignore the other aspects of our life that feed us and give us vitality.
Yeah. And allow us to make a contribution too that we want to. Yeah, absolutely. So how does the upper limit problem work? So there are 4 hidden barriers based on fears and false beliefs. But before we can do this and talk about this, can you consider that you might have one or more of these barriers keeping you from being completely successful? This is important. You have to be willing to at least look and consider that you have one of these barriers. I actually was thinking about you, James, in this. I was like thinking you were going to be like, no, I don't have any of these barriers. No. But if you can just admit to yourself that you have one or more of these barriers, you have a different listening. Okay, you guys? So this is the key. When you encounter the barrier, your upper limit problem is triggered. So it's the barrier that triggers the upper limit problem. Okay? So what are your success limiting mantras? These are the things that bring up your false beliefs. So here's the 4, okay? I cannot express my full potential because. So if you guys want to share, we would love to hear some, but I'm going to share a little bit of mine. So the first thing is, this is going to bring up all your false beliefs. I cannot express my full potential because ... Fill in the blank. Okay. So when I was looking at this, the first thing that came to my mind was, I cannot fulfill my fullest potential because I will leave people behind. It's lonely at the top. It's unfair with so many people suffering. Those are some of the, I mean, saying them out loud, it's kind of a little awkward, I have to say. I guess, this is what this book club is all about, is sharing some real authentic things. But when I started to look at this, those were the immediate ones that just immediately, as I read that sentence, I cannot express my full potential because, right, there was these immediate responses. So James, do you want to share some of yours?
I don't want to, and I will. And you guys, if you're following along, we're on page 44 and 45 of the book. So the first mantra is, I cannot expand to my full potential because, and then you fill in the blank. Another one is, I cannot enjoy abundant love and relationship harmony because.
For me, are you just reading the questions, or are you going to share?
No, I'm going to share.
I think you're avoiding sharing.
I totally am.
It is. It's hard. Like the moment I shared mine, I felt very vulnerable, like a little vulnerable.
I think. Boy, I've got so much on all of these. I'm a mess, you guys.
We all are, James. We all are. You're not alone. Is there a couple that you want to express about the full potential, or no?
I'll touch on the. I'm going to skip to the 4th one, if that's okay.
Well, before we skip to the fourth one, then let's just read the questions so people can actually get what the questions are or the mantras are, and then we'll go back and share. How about that? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I cannot express my full potential because fill in the blank, you guys. Okay. I cannot enjoy abundant love and relationship harmony because fill in the blank, you guys. I cannot expand my full wealth potential because
Wait, weren't there 4?
there was 4. Did I miss one?
I count 3.
I thought there was 4 too.
The fourth one is I cannot expand to my full creative genius because.
How interesting that I forgot that one.
And hey guys, if you know, like as we're going through this, if you want to share, drop your comments in. Keep in mind though that we're fully public right now, right? Everybody can see what you share, so only share if you're comfortable sharing whatever you want. But yeah, the last one, so the first one and the last one for me, right? I cannot expand to my full potential and I cannot expand to my full creative genius because those two kind of go hand in hand for me. And it's like, for me, it's something along the lines of like, other people won't be able to handle it. Like it'll be too much for people. And like, I don't know, I always get this visual image or this mental image of people's like heads exploding. Like they just, I don't know, it's silly, but at the same time, you know, as a kid, right? And this is where some of this stuff gets put into place, right? Like when we're younger. Mm-hmm. And I think he talks about it a little bit more in depth later in the chapter, but like, you know, we're taught to squelch ourselves to a certain extent. And I know that was definitely the case for me, right? Especially as a tall, you know, like I always stood out because I was always tall. And because I was larger physically than just about every other kid in the class, I was always the most visible. And I was the easiest person to, you know, pick on or set up as the patsy, right? And it just, so I really had to be careful about how I positioned myself, because I had to learn quickly that if I positioned myself, you know, out of place just too much, I'd fall into some kind of trap. I don't know.
Well, that's the kind of looking that you guys want to do, just like James is looking. You know, I have no idea, except for me, it was like I got things really fast when I was younger. Like things just clicked for me really fast. And so I was like the first to like put things together. Like it just took me really, I don't know, it was just super fast. And it was like, I was always kind of like, I felt like I was leaving people behind. And so of course, when you want to fit in, you don't want to leave, you know, you want to be with everybody else. So for me, it was like, slow down. Right. And then as I got older, people would always say it's lonely at the top. Right. Or comments like that. So those are all like some of the beliefs. The one for me for the sentence that's like, I cannot enjoy abundant love and relationship harmony because for me, this one was a little interesting because I really had some opinions about this one. And they were kind of directed at men. Sorry, James, but it was like, I can't enjoy abundant love and relationship harmony because men suck. They always cheat and they're stupid. So I really had some major thoughts and beliefs about that. Like even now, as I say it, I'm like, no, but that's true. You don't understand, right? Like, so you guys want to look at not only where your beliefs are, but where you believe that they're true. Okay, that's the key there. Like, so for me, it's like, as I'm saying it, it's like, yeah, of course, that's accurate. But the truth is, it's just a false belief that I have. And it got created somewhere along the line in my dating life as I was, when I was younger. Okay. The other thing I wanted to share was when they talk about I cannot expand to my full wealth potential, because this one I thought was funny, because this is what I said about that one, you guys. People will want more from me. I'll have a lot of people wanting money from me. And then I won't be able to decide if people are my friends because they like me or if they just like me for my money. So I don't know if anybody else has had that same one, but these were this is kind of vulnerable, it's kind of like diving into your mindset and looking to see where are some of these beliefs that really ring true. So if you guys stop for just a minute and started to answer those 4 questions, and I was so off the board with the creative one because I didn't even put that on the agenda. I just skipped right over that one. So why don't you read the question, James, so I can answer it, so that way I can just share on all 4 points.
I definitely will. I want to piggyback off off a couple of these. Well,
yeah, for sure.
The one about abundant love. I cannot enjoy abundant love and relationship harmony because women are crazy.
So, men are stupid and women are crazy.
Right. And I'm picky.
Mm.
So women are crazy. I'm picky.
Mm.
Like that just weeded out 97% of the female population. It's easy to laugh about right now, you guys, but as if you consider that as a real live phenomenon in your own personal life, as a man, it's a lonely existence.
Yeah.
But the final one, I cannot expand to, and on page 45, the author says that there's the hidden barrier number 1, actually, it's tied in. It's the feeling that I'm fundamentally flawed in some way. And it's the false belief that holds the upper limit problem in place is I cannot expand to my full creative genius because something is fundamentally wrong with me. So some of you might read I cannot enjoy abundant love and relationship harmony because I'm not lovable, or, some version of that.
So yeah, I think it's important so that people get the distinction. There's these false beliefs, right, that you have. So how does the upper limit problem work? There's these false beliefs, and there's also these hidden barriers. Okay, so the first 4 questions start to bring up your own beliefs. Yeah, and if we don't think so, others will tell you so. Got it. Yeah. So how the upper limit problem works is you have these fundamental beliefs, right? And there's also these hidden barriers. So they're distinct. You want to do the looking to see what are your fundamental false beliefs, okay? Because those false beliefs are going to start to trigger your upper limit problem, okay? Then as James started to go into, you want to talk about the hidden barrier number 1 again? Just talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's about feeling fundamentally flawed, or that there's something inherently wrong with you, right? If you have these thoughts or feelings that there's something wrong or bad or flawed about you, you'll find yourself grappling with that issue every time you break through to a new level, to, whether it's great love or whether it's financial abundance, or you may not deserve any of it.
Yeah. That's a total belief.
Right.
That you're fundamentally flawed.
Yeah. So what happens is that as you gain evidence, sorry, you've got books and all that stuff. So you break through your upper limit barrier, right? Or a barrier to, say you get a new job that pays you way more money than you've ever made before. and you've got this limiting belief in place, right? Well, now you're faced with cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, which is what happens when your brain has to hold two conflicting ideas at the same time. And so you're kind of rattled. It's what rattles you. And, you know, if you say that you're fundamentally flawed, well, how can I possibly be this happy, rich, creative? You have to resolve it in one of two ways, right? You got to either go back to your previous setting, right? Your previous threshold for making money or being satisfied or comfortable with your old beliefs, or you can let it go and you know, stabilize at that new higher level, right? Which is what we were talking about at the outset here, was that stabilization and practice every day, right?
Yeah.
So the author Gay Hendricks talks about this like being a bug, like a bug in your coding, so to speak. Like if we're, you know, characters in the Matrix, it's like a bug in our coding that's breaking down your operation efficiency, or like a mosquito bug, which we are quite familiar with, biting you when you go to higher levels of love and abundance and creativity. You just kind of want to swat it.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of get what, like, so you have your fundamental beliefs, you guys, and then there's these hidden barriers, which all of this starts to, when you start to get to a next level of success, at some point your upper limit problem will get triggered. Okay, it will get triggered, and one of the things and one of the ways is by the fundamental belief that you're fundamentally flawed in some way. Okay, like just by your mere existence. The second hidden barrier is disloyalty and abandonment. So this is what this one looks like. I cannot expand to my full success because it would cause me to end up all alone, be disloyal to my roots, and leave behind people from my past. So some of that's when I kind of, that's what I was saying earlier, you know, that's part of my fundamental belief too, is like, oh, I don't want to, it's lonely at the top, or, you know, whatever those kind of things are. And I'm going to leave people behind. Right. So some of the questions that you can ask for this particular one is, did I break the family's spoken or unspoken rules to get where I'm at? So even though I'm successful, did I fail to meet the expectations of my parents, that my parents had of me? If you answered yes, you likely feel guilty more and more as you keep expanding your success. So you think like, oh, yay, I've had some success. But if you have this hidden barrier, right, of disloyalty and abandonment, you'll feel more and more guilty the more you keep expanding your success. This one thing hits me kind of close because, you know, the moment I start to feel like I'm leaving people behind, whether it's friends, family, even if it's just any inclination of leaving people behind, I start to put the brakes on. Whatever I'm doing, I start to put the brakes on so much, almost to the stop. Not just a stop sign. It's not even a California roll, a stop line. It's like a stop light. Like I'm like not moving, right? And that's what holds me back from the ultimate success. And the kicker here, it keeps me. This is so important, you guys. God, I'm getting emotional. When you're in that feeling and in that barrier, and you're having the more and more guilt for more and more excess, it keeps me from enjoying the success I already have. And it also keeps you from enjoying the success you already have. And if you don't remember, in our last book with Jen Sincero, she talked about gratitude. And we were talking about how gratitude was so important to achieving what you desire. So when you're having this conversation and this barrier of disloyalty and abandonment, this is damaging you from being really grateful so that you can actually enjoy the current success that you already have. This is, I don't know, James, this for me was like, it robs you of your current joy, your current success, your current experience in life. And so let's say you do break through this barrier. You follow the breakthroughs of success with bouts of self-punishment. I don't know if anybody else does that out there too, where you just, yeah, you just start to punish yourself. One thing I liked that the author talked about in this chapter was that behind every communication problem is a sweaty 10-minute conversation you don't want to have.
So true.
I know, and it's so much bigger in your head. So instead of like punishing yourself or putting on the brakes, you guys start to just get in communication, have some conversations that you don't want to have, and notice that you've hit your upper limit problem and push past that upper limit.
So let's move on, I think, to hidden barrier number 3, which is believing that more success brings bigger burden.
Oh.
And the mantra is something like, I can't expand to my highest potential because I'd be an even bigger burden than I am now. This, Teresa, thank you for a comment. That's it. This one happens to me. This one was triggering for me.
Wow. I had a hard time relating to this one. So it's interesting, like wherever you are, whichever barrier triggers you. So yeah.
This one, yeah. So growing up, I mean, as a young kid, right? I had it that I was a burden. And actually the example that the author gives in the book is pretty similar to my experience as a child as well. You know, I grew up in a single parent household. My dad didn't die. My dad was around, right? But there were definitely some financial constraints in place. And I think at one point in the last book, I may have shared this example where one day my mom was making out bills or paying bills at the kitchen table, and she just started crying. And I made that mean that I'm a burden. And that has stuck with me and stuck with me and stuck with me. And it's something that I have to continually realize and give up in the moment. So when I go to reach for more abundance, what do you think is the first thought that runs through my head?
I don't know, James. Tell me.
I shouldn't take any more, because that would mean I'm even more of a burden than I already am.
Got it.
I should be happy with what I have.
Oh.
And not ask for anything extra. And I'm gonna share some very personal details here, guys. So, I hope this contributes something. To this day, my mom and I will get into arguments because whether it's in contract negotiations, right? So that's part of what I do as a realtor. I negotiate on behalf of my clients, and I'm always having to ask for more, right? Like, okay, we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. And we have to be, we have to be straightforward and, assertive about what we want. And, sometimes I'll share details with my mom about, a certain transaction and whatever. And she said, well, don't get too greedy. You might kill everything. You might fall, it all might fall apart. You don't want that, do you?
Wow.
And so it creates a little bit of a conflict, right? So there's an inherent conversation in my family about that, about being too much of a burden and, not asking for more than what you should be happy with. Yeah. As if there is such a thing, right? As if we could have too much abundance. Yeah. All right.
Well, actually, James, thank you so much.
Sweat over here.
Thank you so much for sharing, because I think this was a blind spot for me. Not until you started sharing, did it actually start to resonate with me. I was so shut off to this, you guys. So what that tells me is there's probably people out there who are shut off to some of these hidden barriers, you guys. Because I literally, what I wrote was, I don't really resonate with the burden thing. So this one was hard for me to address. This is what I wrote, okay? But you know, the author talks about it as a hidden barrier. But because of your share, James, this week, I'm moving this weekend. And I don't know that many guys who I could just call up and ask for some support, right? So a friend of mine was kind of coaching me, but I was like, no, I don't want to bother them. So it's like, maybe it's not the word burden, but it's like, I don't want to bother, you know? And yeah, James, I had started to text you, and then I realized you were having some shoulder stuff go on, so I didn't even send the text to you. But I noticed how much resistance I have because I don't want to bother people. I don't want to ask for the help. I don't want to, you know, and I did text a few people and ask them if they could help me move, but it was like really hard. It was hard for me because what if they said no? What if they did this? What if they did that? You know, so you guys, this is one of the hidden barriers. The moment you start to feel like you're a burden or bothering people, then you've triggered your upper limit problem, right? And luckily I had someone coaching me a little bit to kind of push past that barrier. She was like, they'll tell you if they can or cannot do it, you know, just ask them. And I'm like, no, I don't want to bother them. And you know, and it was good. So thank you. I was so blind to this. I was so closed off to this. So thank you for opening that up for me. All right. So let me talk about the next one. The barrier number 4, the crime of outshining.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Don't shine too much because you'll make others feel or look bad. So where in your life are you turning down the volume? Okay, or you shine really bright, but you turn down the volume of enjoying it. This is kind of like what we were sharing last week or one of these weeks, I don't remember, but like we were talking about, if you can appear to be suffering, then you can get empathy and sympathy instead of jealousy from others, right? Like, oh, I can so relate to you. It was so sympathetic, and you know, we're suffering in this together, right? It's yeah, woe is me. What is it like? Misery loves company, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this was a big thing for me because it's like, don't shine too bright. Like, you don't want to make others feel bad. Or if you do shine bright, just feel really bad about shining bright so that it kind of balances the scales. Do you have something with this one too, James?
I do. It's kind of funny. So I growing up again, I always go back to my childhood, right? Because this is where a lot of this stuff gets put in place. Growing up, I went to a public school in the inner city of Minneapolis, kind of a rough part of the town at that time. And it was, I was put into a program called Gifted and Talented, where like for a couple hours each week, maybe like two days a week, there were maybe like 20 or 30 of us in each class that went to a different room with a different teacher, and we talked about like advanced stuff. And as a matter of fact, my grandpa came to see, Anna's been hiding and playing down all her life. So, right, as part of this Gifted and Talented class, my grandpa came and talked about some engineering stuff. He was an engineer for his whole career, and he was working on the light rail that's currently in Minneapolis, the light rail system. This was back, it had to have been like 1986, 1987, something like that, maybe 88. But that light rail system didn't get put in until like 2003. And so like they had been working on this for a long time, right? And he's talking about advanced scientific principles and engineering and stuff. And like most of us were like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But then to go back to class with kids that, and you guys, I swear to God, this is not an exaggeration. Some kids could not spell the word milk.
Oh.
So to have that discrepancy, right? Like if you were smarter than the rest, you could get beat up. You would be physically harmed.
Mm.
And this is something that's really starting to come out now, and we're starting to push past with the current generation of kids today, where they're like, hey, I'm smart. If you can't handle that, that's your problem. Deal with it. But I'm smart. And it's great because like this whole outshining thing is getting blown out of the water. And it's really starting to raise the bar for, hopefully our intelligence as a species. But let's not get too existential. But
Well,
for
also,
me, this was a huge thing because like,
or downplay it, James, or don't share about it, right? Like
right.
It's like have the wins, but you can't talk about it with people. And I mean, how else are we supposed to celebrate the wins? Like I remember just this week, I don't even remember what it was, but I was so excited for her. I was like, oh my goodness, like it's just so genuinely excited, and we just don't have that anymore. And she's totally rocking it and shining, and it was this genuine excitement. And I think that's because of us doing this book club that I really got to feel this, like she was totally outshining, people around her and herself. And it was like, I was so excited, and I just supported her in that, and many times we shut people down. We just are like, yep, shut down, goodbye.
And to put it into terms of dollars, right? Because this is a Get Rich Book Club, and we're talking about, abundance and wealth in both love and money. When do we ever talk about how much money we make?
Never.
Never. Why?
Because it's a hush hush, and we don't know where people stand with it.
Right. You don't know if the person next to you is making $50,000 or $500,000 a year, right? And if you're making, I don't know what, say you're making $1 million a year. If you are, good for you. I'd love to, be mentored by you. And if you're making $1 million a year and you're like, yeah, I make $1 million a year, what's it to you? Well, wow, I don't know. I can't really, I don't know how to make $1 million a year. I guess I'm not as good of a person or something like that, right? That could be the other person's experience. So we pander to that, to the we don't want to make the person who's not making $1 million a year, we don't want to make them feel bad or lesser than, or right. Instead of celebrating our own accomplishment, right? Outside of, maybe sales, people who are in sales, right? And even in real estate to a certain extent, how much you're making is successful you are, right? And so you're constantly trying to, compete to be the best, to be at the top. But outside of that, right, you never really say exactly how much money you make in a given year or a given period, right? Because people don't celebrate that, or they, for the most part, people aren't celebrating that as each other's success. And so we limit ourselves in that. We don't shine as bright as we could. I'm not saying go out and share your income with people, guys. That's not what I'm saying. But draw a parallel to what I'm saying in other areas of your life, right? Because you don't want to, right? You don't want people to come rob you or something like that because you told them how much money you make. But don't be afraid to share your successes.
Totally. And that's the thing here is about outshining, sharing your successes is so important. It's just so awkward because we're not a society that does that, or be like, who do they think they are? I mean, it's like, and that's the conversation sometimes runs in my head. Who do I think I am? Right. But one of the great things about the upper limit, doing this upper limit work, is that it doesn't take much time to spot where the problem is coming from. So the moment you start to hit your upper limit, you'll spot where the problem is coming from, right? Like what the belief is. And then once you see it, there's just the cleanup work to do. Okay.
Yeah. And your upper limit problem lives in the moment by moment interactions you have with yourself and the people around you.
Mm.
So pay attention, you guys. Watch how other people react to what you're saying and how you're sharing. Gather that data, focus your awareness on specific aspects of your daily life, and start to expand those barriers, right? Practice distinguishing this for yourself between now and next week, between now and next chapter. And, you know, I just want to take another minute and talk about fear again, because that's what's driving a lot of this. Fear is always about, or for the most part, it's about the unknown. And the way to get through the fear is to transform it into the clarity of exhilaration. Right? Now, as we discussed last week in chapter 1, fear is excitement without the breath. Well, what does that mean? It means that the very same mechanisms that produce excitement also produce fear. And fear can be transformed into excitement by breathing fully with it. So next time you feel afraid of something, or if you're having some anxiety,
or you're afraid to outshine somebody, or you feel like a burden and you have this fear about like sharing your successes, that's another opportunity for you to breathe.
And on the other hand, if you have excitement, it turns into fear quickly if you hold your breath. If you jinx.
That's going to be our picture for the
yeah.
Oh, you guys. So this chapter was it was a small but intense chapter, you guys. It talked about the hidden barriers, you know, asking yourself some major questions to distinguish your limiting beliefs. So, you know, if I were you, I would do the work. I would go and do the work and look at it. There's I was surprised by some of the things that I said. I was surprised by some of the memories that came up, and surprised in a good way, because there's all these things that if you're not dealing with it, like really, it'll still be in your subconscious. Now you'll know you'll hit your upper limit because all of a sudden you'll get this barrage of thinking. Like, you know, as I'm doing this, you know, video right now, there's a barrage of thoughts coming, because it's like, is this enough? It's just anytime you hit an upper limit, you have these images that flood, or these thoughts that flood, and really try to get you back into your box. It's literally like, get back in there. And I always use that analogy of the whack-a-mole, right? Boom, get back in there. Everywhere you try to pop out, it tries to get you back in there. And so you guys, this is a really great chapter to start to dive into and practice on the court where you're hitting your upper limit and pushing past it just a little bit more, bringing that breakthrough into your life, and by integrating it into your daily life. Practice this daily, you guys. I know it's something like, I always like to have big, huge breakthroughs. Yes, I'm a little bit on a rant right now. Sorry. Okay. I like to have huge breakthroughs and stuff, but it's really the integration and allowing yourself that small window of being happy in your success, of enjoying the success, of enjoying the experience of profound love with somebody, the intimacy, you know, the success, the wealth, the money, enjoying those moments fully for longer periods of time. Okay, you guys? So after that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to James. Thank you to our team. Thank you for our listeners who come weekly to come join us. You know, this journey is really, we get to do this journey because of you. We get to live and breathe this book and the books that we do because of you guys and because of your listening. So, you know, we will see you next week. And I know this is an easy book to read, but again, it's a whole lot harder to apply. So stick with us over the next few weeks and you'll start to change some of that neuronal patterns for ultimate success. Yes, James.
You know what the next chapter is?
What?
It's how to spot the upper limit problem in daily life.
Oh, that's what we were talking about in daily life. So next chapter, you guys, is about how to spot it in your daily life. Okay. So really, really, really great work, you guys. Anything else you want to say, James? This is kind of a vulnerable episode, I think.
Yeah, for any of you guys who have like had a kind of a so-so reaction to this book, if you've read through it all the way, like there were parts of this, I just gotta let you know, there were parts of this book that I was like, no way, you're crazy, I don't agree. In fact, I vehemently disagree. Go back to psychology school, Mr. Guy. Or gay. He and now as we go through it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's onto something. Yeah. And so I hope that in everything that Erlinda and I have shared, that it encourages each and every one of you to take an authentic look and an authentic inventory of where you are in your own life. And, you know, we want you guys to, you know,
push past some of this upper limit stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, you guys, it's just little micro changes. Feel a little bit better every day, just for a little bit longer. Celebrate that success. Share it with some person that you trust, and really celebrate those moments, because the more you can start to feel really good in your life, the more success will come your way, and love and abundance and wealth and all that stuff.
I'm issuing a challenge.
Woo! Challenge.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I challenge each and every one of you out there to a visible display of excitement and accomplishment, right? Like in public, you could be like at the grocery store, you could find like the perfect watermelon and just be like, yes, found the perfect watermelon. Yes, do a little dance, right? Or, you know, like you're on your way to work, you know, like we live in Chicago, right? Erlinda and I do. And for people outside of Chicago, people in Chicago walk down the street, they've got their sunglasses on, they've got their earphones in, and their stoic expression. Just.
Mostly it's looking down now, just so we're clear.
Yeah, or it's looking down into your phone or whatever. Fine. If you have your headphones in, put on a jam and like, you know, like let yourself dance a little bit. Feel that excitement and feel that happiness and feel it and express it. And you might be surprised at other people's reactions around you. Just watch other people's reactions around you, right? Like earlier when I said you're at the grocery store, give someone a high five when you find that perfect apple or watermelon or whatever it is, right? Just, man, you go to give someone a high five, their whole face lights up. They're excited.
And do you remember
who we are?
And do you remember how I'd be like, I am so grateful. Like even that, it's like, you know, you can hear my high pitched voice, but it's like, eek! Like that excitement, because so you can get the experience of excitement and the success. Because, you know, honestly, I was like you, James. This book was like, I knew it was a great book, but the first time I read it, I did not have the kind of breakthroughs I'm having now. It's like really, really, can you be like so ecstatic about how great your life is, that we're on a call right now live on Facebook, that we have Facebook, that we have a computer, that we have an iPhone, that we have, you know, earbuds, that we have all these things, like is so great and is so much success compared to who knows the whole entire world, guys. So really, really celebrate your successes, however big or little they may be. Celebrate them fully. And I think that's what James is requesting, is that you're out on the street and you celebrate. So
challenge extended.
Yay. Okay. Thank you guys so much. We love you. Have such a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.